Over 1,000 years ago, Marco Polo returned to Italy from the Far East with a recipe for an iced treat, something like sherbet. At some point, that recipe evolved into ice cream. Flash forward to 1945, Alice Handel begins making and selling homemade ice cream in Youngstown, Ohio. And our guest today leads that chain of ice cream shops that still makes their ice cream on site at every location. We are talking today with Jennifer Schuler, CEO of Handel's Ice Cream. Live from Las Vegas, it's Where We Buy. That's right, you're listening to Where We Buy. It's the show where we talk with retail experts and we visit the places where we buy. My name is James Cook. I research retail and real estate for JLL. We're recording live from the JLL booth at ICSC Las Vegas 2025. Welcome, Jen.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, you are in the ice cream business. I got my knowledge about ice cream from a Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
Did I give a good overview of the history of ice cream? Is that something you even know about?
I didn't know much about the origins of ice cream. I know a lot more about the origins of Handel's.
Oh, well, let's just get into it then. Tell me, what's the origin story for Handel's?
Yeah, and I'll tell you a little bit what I think the history was missing. So,
okay.
I think the thing that the history was missing is the emotion of ice cream.
Oh.
And I think when you think about when you get ice cream, there's usually two reasons why. One, you're trying to celebrate something. It's a moment, it's a memory, and you're trying to celebrate that with friends or family. And then the second reason might be to get over a tough time. Like, it's a bad day, things have gone poorly, you got a tooth out, you lost the basketball game, you go get ice cream. So one of the things I've loved about being part of this brand in particular is being at the centerpiece of those moments for people, for families, for friends. It really is a special thing. And it's a special thing that this brand has done for nearly 80 years. We're celebrating our 80-year anniversary this year.
Wow. Give me a little bit more of the background of
Sure.
Handel. So I kind of mentioned, okay, it starts in 1945, homemade ice cream, but like, how did it grow from there?
Yeah, I love this story. So 1945, Youngstown, Ohio, Alice Handel makes and serves ice cream out of her husband's gas station and convenience store. She did that for 40 years and had a really high standard of quality for the ice cream. I mean, she was militaristic about making sure the ice cream was made perfectly. I know people who worked in the ice cream shop growing up with her, and they just describe her as watching like a hawk to make sure the quality was precisely perfect, which I think is something that's pretty amazing to have spent 40 years dedicated to that. And that's the foundation on which we grow today, that attention to quality, to handmade, to abundance in our portions, abundance in the ingredients we add. So she did that for 40 years, and she tried to sell the business twice. And both times, she didn't think that the new owner, kept up her standards of quality and bought it back.
What?
And I just think that's phenomenal. Until in the 80s, she met a gentleman named Lenny Fisher. Lenny essentially was her apprentice for 18 months. And when she was satisfied with his quality, he was able to buy the business from her. And then Lenny went on to expand the brand and start to enter into franchising. And he was the owner of the business for about 40 years as well. So with this 80-year history, it was really the torch was carried from two people who had this hyper focus on quality and a real care for what they did.
Gotcha. So now we've got the history of Handel's, and it's franchise driven today, right?
Say that again?
It's for franchisees,
yes,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, franchise. Yeah.
Okay, so we got the history of Handel's. Now let's get your history. I want to hear how they
sure.
intersect the
Oh,
two.
thanks. Yeah. So out of business school, I went to work for General Mills, worked in food, in brand management. And I had this kind of epiphany for myself there that food is usually your happiest point of the day. Like,
agreed.
you look forward to getting dessert. You enjoy having dinner with friends, lunch with office colleagues. And I thought, if I'm going to do something in business, I'd love to be at the intersection of where you're at people's most joyful part of their day. And so I loved that part at General Mills. I went on to go become the CMO at Wetzel's Pretzels. And from there, became the president, ultimately CEO. And along the way, became a franchisee. So my husband and I owned 2 franchises at the Mall of America in Minnesota. And I think what I saw in Handel's were some of the things that I saw worked so well for Wetzel's. And that was simplicity, freshness, and ability to make a profitable business for franchisees that they can scale. And I really saw those same things in Handles, and that's part of what drew me here from a business side of the equation.
That's so interesting. Now, it must be quite different to lead an organization as opposed to being, an operator of a location.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you learned so much from that, right?
So much. And I think one of the ones was just a deep appreciation for what it takes to run a food service operation profitably. I understand that on a different level now. And the other thing I understand now is all the constant fires that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. Someone didn't show up, product wasn't delivered, customers upset, leaky faucet. I mean, it's just fire after fire after fire. And so one of the things that I see the franchisor's responsibility to do is, well, the franchisee is in the trenches dealing with those daily fires, making sure the guest is delighted, making sure the ice cream is amazing. It's our job to look out long range for the brand and to start to find things that make everything they do a little bit easier and give them a vision for where the brand is going for the future and highlight those wins for them, help them pick their head up and look at where we're going long term, because the day-to-day can be very heavy in a franchise operation.
With a brand that is so focused on heritage, keeping things classic and not, I don't feel like you're not adding new tech and stuff like that. You want it to be real.
Yes.
How do you think about the future when it's really rooted in the past?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I mean, I start by looking at brands that I admire that are also heritage brands. So in my world, like, we want to be the In and Out of ice cream, the See's Candy of ice cream, brands that have those heritage. And when you look and see what they do is they really focus on quality and consistency of that quality. So I've talked about that a lot. But the other thing for me that I think about is, people talk about restaurants becoming increasingly technology centers, and more tech being entered. I think about how I use technology on the back of house to make the franchisee's job easier, but never to get between us and the guest. Because I think there's something about that human touch and that human connection, that going to get an ice cream cone together as a family, slowing down and connecting, is really critical to why people are delighted by Handles. It's why our AUVs are 2 and 3 times the next ice cream competitor out there, because I think we think about it as a nostalgic experience that is high touch and is personal.
So, and I'm so sad to say I haven't been to Handles yet.
I'm so sad to say that.
There is one, I was looking at a map. There's one about an hour from me. I need to make it out there. That is high on my list. One of my coworkers, Jen, is a super fan and loves how good it is, loves that they make it on site. So she totally sold me too. You're selling me more. Let's talk about real estate a little bit.
Yeah.
What regions you're in, where you're looking to expand to. And then also we can touch on the footprint, because if you're going to make ice cream, you probably need more space.
Yeah,
right?
That's great. Yeah, so we'll talk about that, real estate and footprint. If you went back and looked at our first locations, we didn't think much about real estate. It was in Youngstown, Ohio. We found a plot of land and we built a standalone building, and it's walk-up style. And when we first started, it wasn't even open in the wintertime. It was a summer only. And so we still, to this day on real estate, really prefer that walk-up model where you come up and you order at the guest. Again, it's nostalgic, it's simple. From a business perspective, it takes up less square footage. We get higher sales per square foot on it in general, and we also see higher customer satisfaction scores out of our walk-up model instead of our walk-in, which is kind of fascinating.
Okay, well, let me just take a moment, step back. Why is that?
I think it's because when you go inside an ice cream shop, you're seeing the guts of it. You're watching the scooping. You're watching the mess that's on the counter that they haven't had a second to clean up. When you come up to a walk-up, it's like that Wizard of Oz at the Emerald City. When they open up the green gates and the face pops out and a little bit of magic comes across the counter? I think that's what happens. And it gives the crew person, they're on stage. They have a moment to greet the guests, to orient them to our menu of 140 flavors that we've got, actually 48 anytime in any store, any day. And then they get to close the window and compose and scoop and get everything perfect and take a breather if they need to and come back and really deliver for the guest. So it makes a difference. And the last thing that's really fascinating, and I think it's interesting for landlords and developers, is the walk-up model creates a line out front automatically. And nothing builds excitement and energy like a line. How often have you walked up to something and been like, what's that line for? And you kind of like wander in and all of a sudden
that must be good stuff they're selling. Whatever it is.
There's never a long line for bad ice cream. Yeah. So it's like it magnetically pulls you in. So of course there's a point where too long of a line is not a good thing, but some amount of line creates energy and makes it an event. It's like an event.
How big, what's your typical store size?
Yeah. And you also asked me about footprint. So we're about 156 locations around 18 states. So what's exciting about a brand like this is you can look at the other large ice cream players and they're 1,000, 2,000 units domestically. So you've got tons of white space to grow and a very strong business model. And that's in franchising a hard thing to find. It's hard to find an overnight sensation that was 80 years in the making, right? That still has white space. So that's the first thing that's interesting about it. And then in terms of space, we ideally like that walk-up format, an end cap with a patio, square footage. It can be anything from 1,200 to 2,400, with the sweet spot being around 1,600 to 1,800. And it's fascinating that, we really like the patios where families can sit and enjoy, friends can hang out. And when we looked at our demographics, one of the things that popped as the strongest demographic that comes to Handles is outdoor loving families. So it's like the families that want to go on a hike, they want to go on the ball, they play Little League together, and they want to sit and enjoy ice cream in the sunshine, not in the chill of a parlor.
That walk-up window, that's what I associate summertime ice cream with. And so it's even more special because obviously the weather's good. I imagine though with a walk-up window, weather, like if it's raining or not, which is really going to impact sales. Or I would imagine, right?
Rain kills ice cream. Walk up window, walk in, it doesn't matter. Rain kills us.
Just wherever.
Snow will do okay. If the sun is shining, ice cream will still sell. Yeah.
You said, what'd you say, 18 states?
About 18 states,
Okay.
yeah.
Is there any regional concentration or is it just kind of all over?
Yeah, I like to say the brand was born in Ohio and raised in California. So we found some of our early franchisees were in California. That's where we have the largest nut store count today, and about 50% of our sales volume today comes out of California. With, I would say, given the population density of that state and what I see other competitors doing, a lot more room to grow in California still, but a strongest performing state. And a lot of that has to do with, as I said, the sunshine factor. So when we look at where we'll continue to expand, I think the concept works everywhere. I mean, as you see, it works well in Indiana, but you get more sunny days along the Sun Belt. So of course, that's an area of focus for us: Texas, Florida, Arizona.
Gotcha. And that makes sense. I think that's where a lot of, food and beverage treat concepts are focusing their expansion on. How closely involved are you at corporate with where the site like the real estate selection process? Is that something you guys are hands-on?
That's a really good question, because I think for a franchisee, the two biggest choices you make is first the concept you're going with. Are the fundamentals of that business strong? Is that a team that you feel like that culture fits with you and you're going to have a symbiotic relationship with your franchisor? And then the next biggest, and that's a 10-year agreement you're signing. The next biggest decision you make is the real estate. And so while that's the franchisee's decision to make, we really do come in and support with data and analytics and institutional knowledge. Like having done this, I've got folks on my team who've been picking sites for 26 years for Handles. 40 plus years for Handles. And so you start to get, that intersection of what is the data telling me and what is the feel that I'm getting from this place? What's the energy that's here? How do I look around and do I see our type of guests there? So we will do both of those things, and we'll get out into the field with the franchisees and sit side by side with them. And then ultimately, when we're approving a site, it's a cross-functional approval. So marketing's looking at it, operations is looking at it, finance is looking at the numbers, and we're all looking at that and saying, do we think we can make this work? And really try to protect the franchisee and make the best possible decision they can and to build a profitable business.
That's cool. And I love the fact that you've been a franchisee yourself. So I'm sure at some point you're like, man, when you're a franchisee, you're like, man, if I was in charge, I would do this differently. And now you get to employ that into your work.
Yeah, I always talk about on the franchisor side, like, get on the same side of the table as a franchisee. See it from their perspective. What are they seeing? Because they are on the front lines of the business. And so when you're hearing from them, there's real life experience behind the idea they're coming up with, the complaint, the problem. And so try to get on the same side of the table and see the issue from their side. And someone once told me that inside of every complaint or criticism is a vision for the future. And once I heard that, now when I get feedback or input, I think about it differently. I think about it from, hey, there's a vision for a better future that's coming out of this particular piece of feedback or criticism. And so I really do try to orient the team that way and think about that relationship as their data that's coming into us nonstop, and how do we utilize that, bring together best practices that we can then cross-pollinate across the rest of the system.
Very cool. I would imagine, so you were previously at Wetzel's Pretzels. That seems very simple to me.
Yeah.
Like you're baking pretzels, selling them. Ice cream also seems simple, but you guys make it tough on yourself because you make it on site.
Yeah.
So that's more complex. How does all that work? I mean, what's the production studio with all this ice cream all about?
It's a super question. I mean, I actually, believe it or not, I think ice cream is simpler than pretzels. And I can tell you about it. I did training in Ohio, and I was like, I never thought I'd find a business I loved better than pretzels. And I'm like, this is actually better. Like, people come happy, they leave happier. You don't have a fryer, you don't have an oven. It's you're coming in the morning, you're making ice cream for the next day. It's very, very simple. You don't have that hustle that you do in a normal QSR. But in California, we're a certified dairy manufacturer. We have to abide by those standards. So it really is a manufacturing facility. And that's what differentiates us from most other ice cream that's out there, that we are making fresh, on hand, on site. And the ice cream you're eating today was probably made a day or two ago, is really how it's done. And we're literally placing in your black cherry ice cream, placing the cherries by hand.
Oh, wow.
In your classic Oreo cookie ice cream, you're not getting a crumble of a cookie wafer. We take Oreo cookies, we break them into thirds fresh, and you still get like that crunch, that bite in it. So it is differentiated. It takes time and attention, and it takes attention to craft. But I think it's part of what, even when guests don't realize we're making it from scratch, I think you can taste it. You know that there's something different. That's the creaminess, the softness, and spent some time with our dairy. We use Altadena dairy in the West, and talking to them about the freshness. And we were talking about, how quickly they're getting it from the farm to the facility to our location. And it's like literally a couple weeks. Like, that's how fresh the milk and cream is that's going into our ice cream. It's pretty impressive.
Is there any theater involved? Like, I know, some restaurants have open kitchens. Are people able to kind of see that there's production going on, or is that more hidden?
It's more hidden. We've experimented with it in a couple stores and haven't really seen the guest gravitate to it. But what I have seen guests delight in is if you bring them inside, and we have the 48 flavors, which is pretty unique. Most people don't carry that much at any time. And you just bring them in with a spoon and be like, taste anything you want. It is like, I was at store opening, and I brought 2 little girls in the other day to come do that. And the parents were like, can we come too? And that's what I see people really love. Just like that taste exploration, I guess.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I try to stay abreast of all the latest food trends, and there's always some crazy new Instagrammable, I don't know, like it's got sparklers in it, and it's got fireworks and 18 different sprinkles, and it's hanging from a trapeze or something. I don't know. So I feel like there's pressure to be Instagrammable.
Yeah.
Do you feel that pressure, and do you try to do stuff like that?
We don't try to do it. I was just talking with my chief marketing officer about this, and I think she's got really good we don't feel a lot of pressure. We're cognizant of it. Of course, it's out there. But I was listening to this podcast by Adam Grant. Do you ever listen to him?
No, tell me, who's he?
Organizational behavior is Wharton professor, and he was talking about like building your personal brand and sort of like a backlash against that, because when you're building a brand, you're not authentically sharing ideas. You're not curious about the world around you. You're just forcing out something as opposed to like letting it be authentic and letting it flow out. And so I think that's how we think about social. Of course, we have to utilize it. Of course, it's a great way to share what we're proud about with guests, like proud of our ice cream and our craft and the moments we create for families. But when we're thinking about flavors, we're really thinking about what would be delicious. What would take you back to a nostalgic moment in your childhood and just like make you like delight, like that would just like delight you. And if you get that right, it's going to photograph well, and so that's where I'll give you an example. We're going to be launching in June. I don't even think we've announced it, but it's coming. We're going to be launching a frosted animal cookie.
Oh.
And so like, the pink and white animal cookies from your childhood.
And that'll be ice cream flavor.
It's an ice cream flavor.
Wow.
It's like
that's
a soft
really
pink,
nostalgic.
Yeah. It's a pink cake flavored ice cream with a vanilla frosting ripple. And then we hand crack up the animal cookies in it. And so we do stuff like that. I think our banana cream pie, like you taste it and it tastes exactly like what you think banana cream pie would taste like in an ice cream. We really want those flavors to deliver on nostalgic moments.
How often are you coming up with new flavors?
Franchisees will submit to us almost 100 new flavors ideas in a year.
Wow.
So James's eyebrows are raised right now.
So do you like try them all out?
Oh, we try a lot of them. Yeah. And I think when I told you like the franchisees really care about the craft of ice cream, they do. They're craftsmen. And so they come up with all these different recipe ideas. Like we could do this, we could add this. And with 140 in the book, there's a lot of source ingredients to work from. So we really this year have turned our attention towards focusing on the ideas that franchisees are delivering. And then we will refine that in the corporate office and make sure, Lenny said that Lenny and Alice they never wanted the flavor to hit you. Like you don't want it to just be that right. It should come to you. Yeah. And that's how you can eat a whole cone of it because it's not hitting you in the face. And so we always work our flavors that way. And so the flavors we've launched this year, Sticky Fingers, Raspberry Dream Cream, and now Animal Cookie, all of them were ideas submitted by franchisees.
Okay, so I got to stop you. Sticky Fingers. I'm trying to guess what would be
Okay, go for it. What do you think?
It's not like a Rolling Stones album, Sticky Fingers.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't think there's a Rolling Stone tie-in.
No, I can't even think of what that would be. I think of like bubble or you get jam on your fingers or something. But what's in Sticky Fingers?
Yeah. I hope I don't get it wrong, but it's loaded. So it's like not banana. It's a peanut butter ice cream, a caramel ripple, a brownie crumble, and a chocolate truffle. I think.
I would eat that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, put it all together in an ice cream. It's amazing. That was actually our biggest, let me just think. Yeah, that's been our biggest hit this year.
So how do you judge a hit? Because I imagine the classics probably sell the most. Is vanilla the biggest seller?
We've got some that are hits for us that other folks don't have, like that are in our top 10. Graham Central Station, which is like a graham cracker cookie, but like a sweet little crunch. So yeah, a lot of the classics, Oreo cookie, those will rise to the top. But if you go, and I can't wait for when you go, like people really spend time exploring the menu and like Sticky Fingers, just what you did. What's in that? I can't imagine. What is it? We've got a flavor called Monkey Business, which is a banana cake flavored ice cream with caramel in it. Like they're kind of unique and different, but classic. So when I say unique and different, it's not lavender, fig, and honey, right? It is a classic sort of flavor profile that you can imagine from your childhood.
That's so much fun. That's got to be the most fun part of the job is dealing with all that, the new flavors and stuff. Ice cream is here in good times and bad. Do you find that ice cream sales persist even in bad economic times?
Yeah, they absolutely do. We've been talking about that with our franchisees lately because, with economic uncertainty like we're experiencing, of course, you start to see consumers pull back on discretionary spending. But in general, what you tend to see is, they will hold on to those small joys in life, particularly when the price point is right. And so if the other thing that's true to our history from Alice Handel to Lenny to me is we've always made sure that we're serving abundant portions at a affordable price point. Like it's an affordable luxury. And we talk a lot with franchisees about that's part of who we are. Be very cautious when you're taking pricing. Think long range. You want to be the kind of place where a family can go and feel good that when they got ice cream cones for $4, they can feel good about it. And you can be, I heard the Cava CEO say something I thought was excellent, to be the port in an inflationary storm.
Ooh, I like that.
I really liked that. Yeah, I shared that with my team as well. And so that's how we think about it. And so when I look back at the history of this brand over, I think about 12 to 15 years, we've had consecutive years of positive same-store sales growth.
And I imagine during the pandemic, because you've got the walk-up windows, that probably helped a lot, right?
Your imagination is right. The sales skyrocketed. Yeah, I mean, the walk-up windows for sure, safety and security. But I think it goes back to that in moments of uncertainty, what's a simple pleasure, that I can enjoy, that's not going to break the bank.
Okay, so something I just thought of that I want to ask you about is the labor market is pretty tight. Do you find that your franchisees have trouble filling their open positions and keeping them?
Yeah. So when I said like the franchisees' big decisions, first it's the right concept, then it's the right real estate, and then it's the right team. And in particular important here, like when you look at our Yelp and Google scores, we average like a 4.66, which is pretty phenomenal in the
Wow.
restaurant.
I'm a Yelp fan. I Yelp about quite a bit.
You
That is
do?
a great score.
It's a great, thank you. Yeah. I mean, and part of that is because, as I've told you, we want that experience to be a little Disneyland-like for you. You know, we want it to be delightful for your children. We want to take time with you. We want to let you try a sample. We want to replace the cone if the flavor's not right. And so that's critically important. So what the benefit we have is, as I told you, it's a fun and easy business. So unlike other QSRs where you're dealing with the fire and you got a 30-second clock and you're sprinting, you know, you can breathe a little bit. And here you're scooping ice cream. And it's a great first job for someone out of high school. It's a great flexible job for a college student. So we have that advantage. So of course, it's an important, really important thing who you're hiring. Of course, it's challenging, but I think we have a competitive edge because it's a fairly simple job and you're delivering joy across the counter to the guest. So I think for our franchisees, relative to other QSRs, they have a little bit of an easier time hiring, but also a higher bar for who we bring in.
Yeah, because the quality is just so important.
Yeah.
And the customer service and the attitude they deliver.
Yeah.
So important. I'm really interested by the fact that you've operated your own locations, you know, as an operator yourself. What is the biggest challenge you think that you faced? And it was at the Mall of America, which is like a place I'm a retail guy, so it's a place I've been a lot. That's a unique environment. Yeah. Two, competition must be fierce, right, at the Mall of America because there's so many options there. Yeah. Was that a challenge?
You know, there's so many options, but there's so many people.
Yeah.
And I also feel like, you know, I had a franchisee once tell me, I love going into a mall. And I would say the same thing true with Handles into a center where there's other food because people then start to associate that center with like food, snacking. Okay, we're going to go do. And so I think it actually like helps. Of course, there's a place where you could have too much food competition. But in general, for Handles, like we love to see other food in the area because maybe after you go to Chipotle, you'll come get an ice cream. You know, maybe mom and dad will get a Starbucks and kids will get an ice cream. So we don't shy away from from the food piece. I think it creates a gravitational pull. To your question about Mall of America, I think the most challenging thing was the labor piece.
Yeah.
And in an environment, in any QSR, in any restaurant, you're going to have high turnover. How do you maintain a consistent culture?
Yeah.
You know, when you have that constant turnover. And I think part of that is like, you know, the management that you hire, but your own presence at the store and the impact that creates when you're role modeling for young people the kind of experience you want to deliver, and then really hiring for the attitude and training for skill.
That's great advice. Hiring for attitude, training for skill. We so often do the reverse.
Yeah. It's very tempting. It's very tempting
to say, oh, yes, they've got the right experience. The interview wasn't great, but they've got the experience. That's a mistake I've made.
Yes. Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, well, I'm sure you get this question every day, but so I got to ask it. What's your favorite order at Handle? Or let me put it another way. I'm going to go to Handles, and for the first time, what do you recommend I order to get the best experience?
Oh, thank you for that version. Because for me, like my favorite flavor is the next one I haven't tried yet.
Okay.
You know, I think I'm a year into the job, and I think I've tried about 74 flavors. So I'm only like about halfway through the menu.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so if you came, I would first tell you to get a 4-scoop sampler, which is something kind of unique. So you get 4 scoops of 4 flavors. So that way you can tour the menu a little bit. Do you tend to like vanilla, chocolate, or fruit? Like which are
vanilla?
Vanilla. Okay, perfect. Because I think our vanilla-based flavors with inclusions are the best. I would probably tell you to get something that is like a temporary, like a sticky fingers.
Okay.
And then I would encourage you to get I really like a salted caramel truffle.
Ooh.
So it's a salted caramel based on our vanilla with a little dark chocolate truffle. Then I would probably have you get one of our cheesecake flavors because I think it delivers on cheesecake.
I love cheesecake's my favorite dessert.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Would you go fruit? So then I'd probably have you do a strawberry cheesecake and an Oreo cheesecake, and that would round out your 4-scoop sampler.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, I'm doing it. Now that I know you have multiple cheesecake flavors, come on.
Come in the fall for pumpkin cheesecake.
Oh.
That's really fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, Jen Schuler, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
This has been such a cool conversation. And I just love talking about ice cream. That's easy enough. So thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So to hear more interviews, audio, retail tours, and new research insights, you can subscribe to Where We Buy on the iPhone podcast app. We're on Spotify, or you can find us on the web at wherewebuy.show. Our theme music is Run in the Night by the Good Lords under Creative Commons license. That was awesome!
Oh, good. Thank you. Great.
Oh, that was so much fun.